right. Top of the morning, top of the evening, top of the night, whatever time zone you are on. We are live. Happy Black History Month, everybody. Yes, you see the title? Moment of silence for all those who have lost their lives. All right. With that being said, let's remember this. If we can look up, we can get up. If we can get up, we can go up. Let me check the audio real quick in the background. Make sure Restream is doing me right tonight. Hopefully everybody's been doing the best that they can in the situation that they are in. Best that they can in the situation that they are in. Okay. Make sure my face was in the place. All right. Now let's get to this music and let's see. It's music tonight. It's music tonight. Black history, Black excellence, American history, jazz and blues, jazz and blues. We're going to get to it. We're going to get to it again. This Black History Month. Remember to support Black businesses. All right, Black businesses. Every year of the month, and not just this year, and not just month. Every day, all day. I mean, because we naturally we have always support other businesses, but let's also remember to support. Oh, really? Black businesses. All right, let me do the share on this. To this music. And I didn't pre-upload the music tonight, so I want to see how it is going to sound. Here we go. Hopefully it will not be clicking, glitching, and do all the stopping on the other end. And we won't have a throughput issue using Restream that creates that little lag time. Happy Black History Month, everybody. Yes. talking about music tonight. Can we get that soul clap? Hey, Tanya. I've been good. Thanks for asking. How have you been? Hey. All right. Yes. Yes. Let's get into it. I've been good, Tanya. Hopefully, you have been doing the best that you can in every situation that you have been in. But we remember this: if we can look up, we can get up. If we can get up, we can go up. All right. Again, Black history, Black excellence, Black music, blues, jazz, hip hop, rock and roll, rock and roll, R&B, which is rhythm and blues, Black excellence. Last year I did Motown. I mean, what would America be without Black contribution to history, and especially to music, as well as other inventions and creations. Um, so we're doing music tonight. We're doing music tonight. Go ahead and share this out, get this started. All right. So we'll do this. This will not even be long tonight. Now tomorrow night, or tomorrow when I come, like, be a little long, because I'm going back into part 2 of rotten and corruption in terms of judges, so on, so forth, and the like. However, but tonight, right here, right now, I'm not getting ready to bring that type of cantankerousness to this Black history. All right. Buddy Bowden, and I've discussed him before, by name of Charles Joseph Bowden, born September 6, 1877, New Orleans, Louisiana, U.S., died November 4th, 1931, Jackson, Louisiana. Cornelist and one of the founding fathers of jazz, many jazz musicians, including Jelly Roll Morton and the great trumpeter Louis Armstrong, acclaimed him as one of the most powerful musicians ever to play jazz. Little was known about the details of Bowden's career, but it is documented that by about 1895, he was leading a band. Acknowledged as the Cornet King of New Orleans, Bowden often worked with 6 or 7 different bands simultaneously. You better work, okay? You better work like excellence. 6 or 7 bands simultaneously. For the musicians out there and the composers to work with that many bands at the same time, you got to know what you're doing. Period. You have to have some excellence about yourself in order to do that. Okay, in 1906, his emotional stability began to crumble, and the following year, he was committed to East Louis State Hospital, where he died in 1931, which is interesting because music has always been a therapy or therapeutic. Some people do music therapy, but music has always been therapeutic, especially during the Great Depression era. It was music that stopped a lot of people from crumbling into a self-inflicted demise. Okay, and I'm gonna keep it real discreet and not use the other word because we talking about Black history. We're gonna keep this atmosphere happy. All right, no, I'll be off by then. All right, now let's get to. I said I'm not gonna be long. Let's move to jazz and the history of jazz. And disclaimer: this is not for minors. Parental consent. I do not own the rights to this. However, the credit belongs to the people who created the music, composed the music, wrote the lyrics. So on and so forth. Well, fair use. Here we go. And his perspective is going to be really interesting. Let me break this down some. Louisiana State University. Let's go. Jazz. Excuse me, blues. Blues. Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
The blues was born in Louisiana, not Mississippi or Texarkana. The blues was born in Louisiana, not Mississippi or Texarkana. I sang that song not long ago at a performance, and during the break, a woman came up to me and introduced herself to me as being from Mississippi.
Uh-huh. Because a lot of my people from
And
Mississippi.
she said, I have it all
I'm
wrong.
playing.
She said the blues was born in Mississippi.
Blues is born
There's
from.
3 myths that I'd like to deconstruct for you. Myth number 1 is that the blues was born.
Okay, before he gives his perspective and you know, and talk about the myths, let me say this: the blues came from the black plantation, the plantations, from black people being out there in the plantation field. Period. Period. I don't care if you were in Mississippi, Louisiana, wherever, they were singing blues. Period. Now, in terms of theoretically and what the U.S. Preserved, the preservation of, I understand from that perspective. However, slaves was out there in the field singing the blues. Yeah, simple as that. Talking about their pain, suffering, distress, and singing themselves out of psychologically the atrocities that were occurring on a daily basis as it pertained to their persons. Now, I will proceed.
Born in Mississippi. Number 2 is that the definition of blues is sad and melancholy, down in the dumps, the blue
Not all
devils.
blues.
That's a fallacy. Myth
It's
number
about
3,
storytelling.
and perhaps the most damaging myth of all, is that the more primitive the blues man or woman, the more authentic they are. I want to introduce you to the original thought and philosophy behind the blues, and you will see that primitivism is the very antithesis of the blues. I was born into the blues and its culture therewith. I came of age in my father Tabby's Blues Box down on the bayou in Louisiana.
All right, shout out to the bayou. That's where my family
I didn't learn
from.
the music
Daddy's side.
from books,
Shout out.
a university library, or a music conservatory. I learned the music firsthand. It was passed down to me from my father and many, many, many others who came before me. Subsequently, in 1985, I was discovered, quote unquote, by a folklorist from the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C. I was introduced to the world as the last primitive folk blues artist of the 20th century. Not heir to my father's legacy necessarily, but heir to the legacies of Muddy Waters, who was discovered by a folklorist, and Huddy Ledbetter,
Muddy Waters,
better known as Leadbelly, who was also discovered by a folklorist.
Okay.
But what did they mean by that? I mean, I was introduced to a world that I didn't recognize. Everything that I had known had been turned upside down because the narrative around my culture, the narrative around my music was unrecognizable to me. So
You can't
one of the things that was confounding was folk blues. And what do they mean by folk blues? I think when they say folk blues, they mean like folk as in agrarian blues,
right, the genre,
country blues,
style.
and Delta. Delta is another word, when they say Delta blues, it's just another word for primitive blues. I mean, the definition of folk is that it's from a pre-literate culture and passed on orally from generation to generation. But folk blues is kind of a oxymoron to me because the blues was born in New Orleans. The blues is cosmopolitan. It's an enlightened idea.
Blues came from the plantation
So primitive
field.
enlightenment, I never understood that. It never made any sense to me. And as for the sad song, well, I have a sad song in my repertoire. Good morning, heartache.
out your throat. Get out your
I
throat.
tossed and turned until it seemed you had gone. But here you are with the dawn. But the thing about
Thank you for the history. Yeah.
But the thing about the sad song, it's been around since the beginning of time. Beethoven did sad songs. St. George, Amadeus,
Bach, Chopin,
Beethoven, and Bach. Everybody did sad
Mozart.
songs. We Louisiana musicians didn't invent the sad song. What we invented was Saturday night.
The party.
In the late 1900s, America, a young nation, was looking for a musical identity. It had no identity of its own. And at that same time, in the late 1900s, African Americans were also, here in Louisiana, were also looking for a way to express themselves in their own unique way and try to create a voice of their own. There was a renaissance bubbling up. And around the early 1890s, there was a Christian hymn. And you might know this song. It was called When the Saints Go Marching In. It was a very genteel melody. And it might be sung like this. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Very genteel. But there was a young man in 1895 by the name of Buddy Bolden who heard that melody and thought he had a better idea. He had a better idea to use that melody to express his own creative energies, his own creative vision. And he would do that song something like this. Oh, when the saints
There you go.
go marching in, when the saints go marching in, oh, I want to be in that number. When the saints go marching in. And you know what happens?
Buddy Bolden.
You know what happens in South Louisiana when the bands strike up that refrain? People get to dancing.
Yep.
Drinks start flowing. Young ladies might even start undressing when we do that number. But let's put this in context. In the late 1890s, people were very superstitious. And this was the age of Victorian prudishness. And a song like this, sang by a musician, caused, great alarm to polite society. It was subversive music, but it was music of Renaissance, music, freedom of expression. Freedom of expression is something that we musicians call improvisation. But this idea was unique to Louisiana. It had the mechanisms the incubation, if you will, to create this music where it didn't really exist anywhere in the world in the 1890s. But eventually, it made its way upriver to St. Louis and Chicago. By 1917, the blues had taken Chicago by storm. It moved on to Harlem, and the Louisiana musicians got to Harlem and inspired the Harlem Renaissance. And this idea, this philosophy behind this music, it has gone on to inspire the whole world.
Forever.
It is the music of liberation, freedom of expression. It is the music that inspires you to seek your own expression. We musicians call it improvisation, but it's that pursuit of happiness that has spread around the world, and the world is a different place than it was back then. The blues was born in Louisiana, not Mississippi or Texarkana. The blues was born in, and one other thing I have to tell you. There was a young man by the name of Jelly Roll Martin. Jelly Roll Martin lived on Frenchman Street, right outside the French Quarter.
Before he talk about Jelly Roll, for those who don't know, musical history, American history, Black history, Black excellence. Let me say this. African American people over here in America, you better celebrate this excellence and impact internationally that we contributed to the world. Okay? This is the truth being told. All right? Jazz, that was us. Blues, that was us. Hip hop, that was us. R&B, that was us. Rock and roll, that was us. And the list goes on and on and on. Not only Black history, American history, things that are not in the history books that should be included. When you're taking music theory classes, have you heard about them? Buddy Bolden, Charles Bolden, aka Buddy Bolden, Jelly. Are they included in music theory over here? No. T-Bone Walker. T-Bone Walker. 1940 to 1954. T-Bone Walker. Yeah. Vinyl. Yeah. I got some original vinyl. Yes. So African American people, you better celebrate Black excellence. Black excellence. Stop thinking, for those who are always speaking negatively on African American people and Black people over here in America. No. It's not a facet of America that we did not touch. It's not a facet of the world internationally that we did not touch. Let the record show. Now let them finish. You better celebrate and learn, for those who don't know, about real history, Black history, American history, Black excellence.
And I must remind you that Louisiana is an old French colony.
Yeah.
And the word blues is a French definition. It means that it's subversive, that it's a little risque. It's not the English definition. As a matter of fact, you guys might recall blue laws against dancing, having fun, just laws against basically having fun, so to speak.
You're not getting ready to stop no African American people from dancing.
Well, the blues celebrate that. In a time of temperance, the blues was tolerant and inviting. The blues was born in Louisiana, not Mississippi or Texarkana. The blues was born in Louisiana, not Mississippi or Texarkana. It's a French word. Understand? How can it be sad when it makes you want to dance? And there's a smile on the face of everyone you meet down on the corner of Frenchman Street. The blues was born in Louisiana, not Mississippi or Texarkana. The blues was born in Louisiana, not Mississippi or Texarkana.
Celebrate! Yes, Black history, Black excellence. Yes, music. What would the world be without music? Boring. It would be boring. It would be boring, more chaotic. Okay, now as we get ready to conclude, since we talking about the blues, I can only get a little bit of this because when I'm playing this, YouTube people who did not write, compose, or BB King be acting up. This is Black history, Black excellence. My history, part of my history over here in America. This music, this blues, this jazz, this hip hop, this R&B, this rock and roll. Hold on. But when you get to playing BB King on YouTube, sometimes they get to cutting up. Therefore, I can only play a segment of BB King as I conclude Black history for today. All right. Man, oh man, oh man. So here we go. I'll start it right here. Let's go. Come on. Ha! You better go ahead. Let's go. Don't that make you want to dance? Blues, y'all. And this is the thrill is gone. Okay, I'm gonna pull that little segment back. Again, disclaimer, because YouTube have their perimeter set in such a manner that when you play this right here, if you're like, oh, video can't be shown because blah 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 blah. Excuse me, this is Black History Month. This is what my group contributed to the world, not just to America history, but to history, period. Even talking about Black history, real American history. Let me pull that back, play that section again. And I might slip up and play a little bit of Thrill Is Gone at the beginning. Copyright disclaimer, you already know I own the rights to this.
Thrill is gone. Thrill is gone away.
You better sing that song. You ain't even here no more.
Thrill is gone.
All that authority in his voice.
Thrill is gone away. You done me wrong, babe. Gonna be sorry someday. Thrill is gone.
Hey now.
Thrill is gone away from me.
Hey, 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 hey.
Thrill is gone.
again, because of the way the perimeters are set on YouTube, I have to move it on to the end. I am one of the ones who, where they in the past was playing music and they just politely shut my channel down many times. For me, it took me offline for playing all types of music years ago on YouTube. So let me move on towards the end of this song again. Black history, Black excellence, Black music, jazz, blues, hip hop, R&B, rock and roll, and the so on and so forth, and the like. Black excellence. I'll start it right here. Hey! Hey! All right. This concludes my segment for tonight. Again, Black history, Black excellence. This is really all I wanted to show tonight. I wanted to talk about Mr. Bolden, Charles Bolden, Buddy Bolden, and his contribution to Black history, American history, his contribution internationally to music. Okay. One of the founding fathers of jazz, also played blues, and just Black excellence, Black history, celebrating our contribution to the world. And hey, on that music now. Goodness, my goodness. So African American people who, to the younger people who may not know history and may watch this months from now, whatever, it's important. It is important that you learn real history. And I think a lot of times over here in America, if African Americans really understood their contribution internationally to the world, our perspective and outlook on life would be a little bit different. Now, having said that, you all have a pleasant evening and a pleasant night. I'll see everybody who watched tomorrow in part 2 of Rotten and Corrupt Judges, so on and so forth, and the like. Bye, everybody. I'm getting ready to edit this and edit the description and finish listening to BB King. All right. Thank you all for streaming. Happy Black History.